Hi, this is Brett with the support team at STRAC. As we're continuing this next video, or part 2 of the NFIRS to NERIS transition, just wanted to share with you some information, and I'll also be going through and having an NFIR page and a NERIS page up at the same time, so we can take a look at some of the differences. Now, STRAC has reached out to each department or is currently going through that process. If you haven't heard from us, I strongly encourage you to reach out to us at support@strac.org. But what we're doing is reaching out to each department, showing you the form that we have built out, and trying to build it in a way that works for your individual department. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with some of the information that we can find. And then again, we'll go into the differences between the NFIR and the NERIS form. All right, as we continue in our series of NERIS, going from NFIRS to NERIS, wanted to share with you this page that NERIS has put out. And you can look this up just by going to whatever browser you have and just type in NERIS. What I would do is type in the Data Dictionary, which you can see right here. This is what I wanted to show you for today. So if I click on Data Dictionary, this is going to start to break down the different fields and modules within the NERIS form. And so this is a great place to go, and you can read about what NERIS had in mind when they were doing it and kind of what they're looking for. So this is, again, for somebody that's probably in your department that's going to be doing a little bit of the deeper back-end work of the reports, and you may want to know why some of this stuff is here. But this is where NERIS has it located. And we just wanted to make sure that you knew that this existed in case you want to do a little research. Okay, simple as that. You just hit on core, like for this one, the core module, and it starts to break down each one. You can click on that, or you can just scroll down. And it just kind of gives you a quick, brief example or listing of what that is and why they put that in there. So that's where this is. And again, you have this drop-down page where you can see all this information and see about the different modules that they have. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and move on to looking at the difference between NFIRS and NERIS. All right, so as you can see, we have both forms up. On the left, you can see that we have the NFIR form that we've been living in for a little while. And on the right, we have the NERIS form. So immediately you can see that there's some differences on it. The quick fill on this side is the same thing as the preset values on this side. Now, we only have a few preset values built into here because we do want to work with each agency on what they feel is the preset value that they have. Some agencies that we've spoken with don't want to have any preset values, and some do like to have them built in. So as a preset value, what does that mean? What does that look like? So I'm going to refer back to the NFIR page, and you can see that these are, in essence, an easy button. If you were to click on it, and as simply as an end user, I would hit apply changes, and that would go ahead and fill in that information for me. It's just one way to click one button to kind of fill in a few of the things that might be asked for. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have them ready to be built out for this. But again, on the scope meeting that we're doing with each individual agency, we are taking note of what they would prefer for us to have, and we are working to build those out. The other good thing about this is as you start talking to other agencies and finding out what they have, you can also request that from support@strac.org as well to help build out some of these preset values for you if you find value in that. Okay, so let's just take a kind of a look. And again, I'm not trying to go through setting up an actual NERIS form for each one. I just wanted to show you some of the differences so you'll have an understanding of some of the changes that are coming. And again, this is part 2 of our video series. The first part was more of filling out the NERIS form as it was up to date when I did that video. There has been some little updates coming. And then again, just as a reminder, as we do our scope meeting with each individual agency, your agency administrators are asking for certain things to be turned on or hidden as we start walking through that process. So even though that may not happen January 1, please know that we are taking notes with each agency, and those are things that we are working steadily to get set up for each agency as we move forward. Okay, so again, we're living on the NFIR page on this side and the NERIS page on that side. So on the NFIR, a lot of this information is tucked in here, whereas on the NERIS page, it's a little bit more visible. And that's okay. Again, if you have a CAD system and it actually fills in this information for you, then you can ask for this to be hidden. But you do want to make sure that your CAD system fills this information for you. Now, as I go forward, also a reminder is the red things are what need to be answered. And again, back to the CAD, if you have a CAD system that does that, that's great. If it fills that information in for you, then it will autofill as you go. If you do not have a CAD system, then this is simply what the NERIS group has asked to be filled in. So that's where the red comes from. And just like in the PCRs or going forward, your home agency may require certain things to be added that currently are outside of what NERIS asks for. As we start to work with each agency, we will find those things that you wish to have turned on or off, depending on what it is that you're trying to find. Now, just as a reminder, everything that's red currently is what NERIS has asked for, and we cannot turn those off because this is a form that's sent in to NERIS. These are the required fields for them. And the idea behind it, of course, is they can give you more on-demand information about what's going on in your area. Okay, so now that we've kind of covered that, we'll continue to walk through some of the differences. So as you can see on the NERIS side, I have the CAD Dispatch Center. Doesn't really have any of that on the info side, but I'll go ahead and open up the basics just so we can take a look at this. So there are some things that are required here for NFIRS, and again, NFIRS will be shut off at midnight on the last day of December, which is Wednesday, December 31st. At midnight, NFIRS will no longer be accepting anything. And we will have a form that pops up just in case somebody goes there that will remind them that this form is no longer being used. Please go to your NERIS form. But as we start walking through, you can see incident number. Well, that stuff will come in here on the NERIS form. I'm not going to open up each individual one, but you can see that the red, we need to address it as we go. So incident page, you can see that some of these correlate to what we had over here. NERIS has just changed some of the names for it. And like I showed you earlier in this video, in the data dictionary for NERIS, it'll kind of give you a breakdown of what they're searching for in these fields. In short, what NERIS is trying to do is get more in-depth information so it can build out its modules for each part of the United States. In some areas, you may have more wildland fires, and some you may have more structure fires. So you can see how the information for different agencies will help each agency to build out information specifically for their area. So as we keep going down the list, again, you can see the response, location, times. These are the things for INFIR. And then these are the correlating things in NERIS. So unit response, this is something that's a little bit different. Resource summary, you can see that there's stuff about apparatus on this side, whereas this is asking more about your unit response information on this side. So again, just some differences in the two as you start to go down. Casualty rescue, people involved. Again, there was some of this in here, but not to the degree and depth of what we're asking over here. Now, on that note, you can see the format is really not that different as far as how to access the information, how to get to it, and how to put it in. There's just other information that's being asked for through NERIS than what we were putting in for INFIR. Just a reminder, that is coming from the NFA and NERIS itself. That's where this information is being requested. Okay, so as we continue to go through, you can see that the information's here. We get down to narrative. The narrative is on this side. And of course, you have your narrative right here. You can add your additional narratives if you want. I'm just going to click on things so we can see what it looks like here on the NERIS. And again, this is a part 2 of our video series. The part 1 that we did first actually walked through doing one of these. Authorization, you can see here. So on this one, this would actually show the members of your department. So you could pick the correct person doing that. And then who completed it and on the date. Officer in charge, these are things that you can make gold like we did over here, if that's something your agency wants, or you can make it red, again, if that's something your agency wants. But as far as NERIS is concerned, these are the things that they want to know. So as I recommend in training, at least initially for your crews, click on this drop down, and it just helps you by looking at simple categories that you can then break down into the actual thing that you're looking for. One of the biggest things that's different between INFIRS is the codes, and in NERIS, you're going to have more common language. So 321 over here, you may have MVC. As you go through here, illness, EMS response, you can click that. 321 over here. So you can kind of see that there's similarities. NERIS has just gone to using common language versus codes. And again, that is the main difference between the two forms. And that's something that we wanted to share with you as you're starting to look deeper into the NERIS form as we get closer to launching and using that. So as we move forward, December 31st at midnight will be the last time that people can access the INFIR form. For those admin people, that does not mean that your INFIR information disappears. That is your information, and it is yours that will be saved as you need to access it, especially as you're running your reports, because you're going to want to have the end of the year INFIR information, and then as you go forward, you're going to want to have your NERIS information if you're starting a few days earlier. Okay, so that was a quick video to kind of go over the information. We covered the data dictionary on the NERIS webpage. Again, all you have to do is go to your browser just to type that up, NERIS Data Dictionary, and that'll take you to the right place. That'll give you information as to the different fields that you can see over here, and it really does kind of break them down for you. As you can see, we really wanted to show you the difference between the two so you would have a better understanding of some of what's changed. But again, just remember the basics. As an agency, you're going to have information outside of what NERIS wants to collect. And as you come across that, or you find that you want that documented in your report, you simply just reach out to the support team at STRAC, and we'll go ahead and help you set that up.